Welcome to Retired for Life. I'm your host, Brian. I retired a few years ago after 30 years in a factory job as a machinist in a millwright. I needed to rediscover what life could really be like. When we purchased this property, the house had stood empty for over a year, and the property had been badly ravaged by poor logging practices. Since my retirement, I've been working to renovate the home and restore the surrounding forest to its natural beauty and attract wildlife back to the property. Join me as I learn about nature and working with wood to create the backdrop for this new chapter of our lives. Well, I've got the height redone for the step, and as you can see, it's beautifully flat. I put some felt strips on the bottom of it because it is going to be sitting on that floor. I thought, why not? All right, that looks good. Let's get this out of the way, get our baseboards set up, and get those sanded and ready. All right, we got 4 boards to do. Now, my planer does such a beautiful job. I mean, this really doesn't need to be hardly touched at all. Most thing I'm going to do is get this radius on the top here. So I've got 80 grit on my orbital sander, and that'll put it on pretty quickly. And then we'll go over it with 120. All right, guys, we got our baseboards all ready to go. So this is the next thing. So I'm going to put 8x1 boards across here. And this is what the steps going up into our storage room here will be attached to. So I need, so I got 40 inches. So I need about 10 feet of 1 inch by 8 to do this. Now the only one that will actually end up showing up will probably be the top one. The top one will be the kicker plate for the top step. All right, let's head up to our tent and see what we can find up there. All right, that's got our 2 boards. We need 3 pieces that will cut to about 43 inches long, run them through the planer, then run them through the table saw to get them flat and finish width. Got a question for you folks that you might know. I see a lot of people using a cutoff saw will come down and go across once and then sink the rest of the way down and go back. I don't quite understand why that's done. Do you guys know why that's done? Let me know. This board is bowed. Look at that. Yeah. You know, you can't win sometimes. You know, I've got one big nail right there. What I think I'm going to do is go get my nail jack and pull that out. And maybe I'll plane this flat. It's a lag screw. Yeah, I thought it was a nail. I think it's going to be getting interesting. Oh boy, here comes the hail. Well, the hail wasn't huge. There's one piece there. But it was a little scary there for a minute when it started coming down like that. I was imagining the Jeep getting pulverized, but Sarah got home. And the worst of it has stopped. And I think the one thick cell that was showing up on the weather radar has now gone by. So we'll see what happens. There's supposed to be higher winds coming later on. But right now, the wind is gone. Very weird. All right, guys, so what we're going to try to do here is take this bow out with this board in place, because I think whatever is underneath it is what's bowed. As the bottom is straight, but the top isn't. So I've got my planer here. We're going to attach a vacuum hose to it to keep the mess to a minimum and see if I can plane this down. That'll be interesting to try. All right, let's see how it goes. We're getting there. Yeah, that did a very nice job. Now, I'm not sure what the heck that was in there for, but I'm going to go get a couple of construction grade screws and run them in there to replace whatever that was supposed to be doing. Well, folks, we're in here ready to put our lacquer-based primer on over the knots and stuff so they don't show through. And there is some absolute craziness going on out there. The wind is really whipping, so that hailstorm that came through first, I guess, was kind of a prelude. We're not getting much rain yet, but holy mackerel, we're getting wind. Let's get some work done while I've got power. So same as before, we're just touching over the knots. I cannot believe how weird the weather is these days. Here we go again. Well, we'll see what. And there is, once again, a big area where there is no power. And unbelievably, we still have power. It's incredible. Well, we've got one nice day today, so hopefully I can get a good bit of my painting done today. So this is our bin 123 primer that we're putting on. So this should be all of the wood pieces, the trim and everything that I need, not counting building the steps that go up into the storage room. Well, that's it. We've got everything painted. Tomorrow we start the install. All right, folks, we're actually ready to start installing the trim. But before I do that, because I'm in and out of this door so many times, I want to install my wooden step here. So we're gonna get the mounting plate in place and then set the step in. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's nice and solid. All right, so next is to put these plates on across here that the steps going up into the storage room will be fastened to. Now, what I'm gonna do, I think, is start at the top and go down. So I'm gonna cut 2 to my width, and then the bottom one will have to measure and get that cut on there, because it's going to be at a bit of an angle and it's going to be under 8 inches too, of course. Now the top one, I want the full 8 inches because that's my kicker board for this top step here. All right, we're going to do some measuring, cut our boards to length, get them in, and then see where we are from there with that bottom board. All right, that's got, the only thing I've got left to do now is to measure the height for the bottom bore from side to side, because it's not perfectly flat, so it'll be cut on a very slight angle. We'll fit that in. So you can see I've been countersinking these down so I can fill these with wood filler and sand them off and paint them. So the ends of these will be partly visible, but otherwise you won't really see it, except for, of course, this top board, because our step is going to be right around here, sort of thing. works better than the finger. Well, that's it, folks. We are actually done. So it was a slow process because, as you know, I did a lot of learning as I went along here. And also all of the woodwork, the trim and that type of thing was all milled by me. None of this stuff was bought from the store. I used my own lumber supply, my own equipment, and made all of this trim, including all the window trim and everything, and the steps and that kind of stuff. I did that all myself. And I'm very happy with how all of that turned out. It was an interesting job. I'm really glad it's done because now I can actually start to move on to other things, get back outside, get to work out there. So, all in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I know it may not have looked like it a couple of times, but for the most part, I did enjoy the work. I did learn a lot from doing it. The only thing that we've got left to do in here is to put a nice light fixture in and get the hardware in on the door that goes into the storage room. And that's pretty much it. And of course, we need to furnish the room now. We're going to figure out just the type of layout that we want and get some new furniture in here to go with the rest of the room. All right, folks, so it's been quite a journey. So if you've got any thoughts, comments, suggestions, anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. It's pretty much time to get outside and get to work out there. So thanks very much for coming along on this little journey. It has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. And remember to stay safe out there, be good to each other, and we'll see you out on the trails the next time.